Good afternoon, everybody. So, I know I've been shooting a couple extra videos lately. Well, I mean, not really, I guess. Give or take. It depends on how you look at it. But the weather has been kind of like optimal, and I want to take advantage of it for as long as I can. Because, the cold doesn't really bother me as much as the heat does. But I lack what little motivation I have, gets drained away when I've got to try to wade through 6 or 8 inches of snow, which is probably child's play compared to some of you guys, but, and let's segue into the next thing, child's play, right? So I've been watching old horror movies on YouTube, free, whatever, because, excuse me. Because I don't have like a legit DVD player or like a legit television that I watch. Like there's one in the living room, but I don't really watch TV, so I figured I'd get my fix off the free YouTubes. And I've been watching old horror movies mostly, and I wanted to address something because it's getting close to Halloween. I'm getting kind of excited for Halloween. But the costume I'm making is like 65% done, so I'm getting pretty psyched. I'm getting pretty pumped. So let's talk about horror movies. So let's start with let's start with 2 in particular that got me thinking. Chucky the Doll, right? And Jeepers Creepers, right? So they're basically immortal beings, right? Like, no matter what you do, I'm gonna keep saying right now, ain't I? Fan-freaking-tastic. But no matter what you do, you can't really kill them. So, or like even Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, probably not Freddy Krueger, because not sure how exactly that works. Like, he's corporeal at one point or another, but not really. So I'm not entirely sure where his magical powers lie. And the dimensions and whatnot. I mean, I like Freddy Krueger, but I wasn't that into it. And we're going to talk about, like, these creatures that are basically corporeal and immortal. So, in the movies, 90% of the time, the good guy always wins. One way or another, they put down the bad guy, and the good guy gets away. That's just how it works, because if it was a sad ending, less people would watch it probably, or something. I don't know. Maybe it's another tool to give false hope. But so whenever you put these creatures down, recently I watched Jeepers Creepers 2, and the old man, his son got taken away, and you got Daddy Vengeance going to kill the monster, to avenge his fallen son. And that's all great and all, It makes for a decent story plot line, whatever. And he does it. He pins this monster down. He stops this monster. Yeah, 100 people died in the process, but it was for lack of a better term, dead. It was no threat to anyone in the condition it was in by the time its time ended and it went back to its cocoon form, or whatever it might be. And at the end of the movie, the guy has it, like, pinned to his wall, sitting there watching it. And that's great, fan-freaking-tastic. Good for him. He's ready, the probably 50-year-old man, which would have been, 23 years? He'd been like 73. Is sitting there waiting to take on this immortal creature that never tires, never gets weak. He's ready for it. But this is always humorous to me, because if you're almost 100% sure that it cannot be killed, why wouldn't you go get, like, a casket, like a human casket, put it inside, fill the casket with cement, chain the casket shut, put the casket inside of a bank vault, fill the bank vault with cement. You get where I'm going with this? chain the bank vault, drop it in the deepest part of the ocean. There's your problem solved for 1,000 years. Yeah. Eventually all that would break down, or eventually it can chisel its way out from the inside. You know, whatever, you know. You get Chucky the doll sitting there with his homemade shiv, you know, carving a hole out to get loose. But it's still going to take a very long time. And I never figured out, well, besides the obvious, if that happened, it would be very hard to have a sequel. But I never really figured out why that wasn't like a go-to idea. I mean, the cost of 100 lives, a bank vault, a casket, and, you know, 50 tons of cement doesn't seem like a high price to pay. But I just wanted that, you know, I just wanted to say that because it just always baffles me. It always shocks me. Like, okay, you have this immortal, bloodthirsty, evil being that cares about nothing but, you know, its own preservation or murder, or just causing harm to others. And instead of, like, you know, making sure that it is out of commission for 1,000 years, you're gonna sit in front of it with a shotgun till it wakes up? Like, I don't know. I don't know. And what's gonna happen, you know, in 23 more years, dude's gonna be, you know, I'm just ballparking this, I don't know dude's age, but 23 more years, dude's gonna be like 96, if he's even still alive. Is he gonna do it again? Like, is he gonna pass the torch to the other living son? Like, what's the end game there? Or, why not do that stupid, I'm saying stupid because I absolutely hate most of this, like the SCP containment. You know, have it chained up to a rack in a room that's like triple pane, bulletproof, super sturdy, unbreakable, you know, could get shot with a tank and it would bounce off kind of glass. And, you know, let it fly around for its 23 days, trying to get out. It'd make for good physical humor seeing it bang its face off a unbreakable glass for 23 days. Sorry, I've been, like I said, with the weather changing, my allergies are acted up and I get a little bit gooey. So, sorry about the extra coughing. I went out, shot a little pool last night, and I felt fan-freaking-tastic. Like, I don't know if it's like the house or what it is, but like when I'm out here, it gets to me a little bit because of all the pollen. They just cut the grass, so I mean, it gets to me a little bit. When I'm at the house, she has all this craft garbage and dust from being old, and it just kills me. Started pulling a trick out of my grandfather's old book, keeping like a bag of cough drops on hand. I don't have them now because I thought if I was out here it would clear up decently, but that is not the case. So, the local Chihuahua drove past me, so I decided to tell him that there may or may not be a bear lurking in town. The local Chihuahua is like a 5-foot tall cop. That's a long story, but well, it's not really a long story, just inconsequential. But he's just like a really little guy. He could probably, you know, take me because I'm not police trained or, you know, in peak condition. But it's just kind of funny how tiny he is. He drove past and I was like, yeah man, there's I told him, like, I'm like no expert, but I'm like 80% sure that there was a bear in my yard. And he asked a lot about my house, which kind of got me a little off put, because he's like, what's your address? Do you have cameras? And I was like, I was going to say, what are you planning to do, rob the place? But I thought better of it. Oh, sorry about that. Just went into a bit of a coughing fit. So I figured I'd just cut the thing there a little bit. And cut the video for a couple of minutes till I stop coughing up and whatever is accumulating in my body in this time of the year. Phlegm. Today, like, I didn't go out for very long or drink a lot, because, well, I don't have a lot of cash. So I went out, shot a couple games because it was Saturday, and I was like, maybe there'd be somebody there that's interesting enough for me to either talk to or somebody that would talk to me. That didn't happen. There was a couple of the regulars. One guy always asks how I am. I always tell him the same bloody thing, you know, one day closer to dying. Because that is the only way I can guarantee I'm telling the truth. Because every day somebody asks how you are, or how you're doing, or how your day's going, once a day, every day, you're one day closer to dying. And that is 100% fact. So, I mean, I guess that really wouldn't work if they asked every 15 minutes. But then that's just them being a jerk. So, or really over interested in how you are. So, he's like, well, that's kind of depressing. Or his wife was like, that's kind of depressing. I'm like, yeah, but it's a lot shorter of an answer than the whole story, which is both, you know, courtesy for you, because I'm sure you don't want to actually hear the entire story, and it's a factual answer that, you know, makes me feel like I'm telling the truth. So, yeah, that's that. But today, there's a new chick, working at DG. She asked me how I was, and I was like, fan-freaking-tastic. I try to say it with enough sarcasm that they know that's a complete crap, but, you know, it is what it is. I made fried egg sandwiches and smash burgers today. Smash burgers are really good. I changed my hamburger supplier, and they were like, it was way better, and it was probably the same cost or a little cheaper. So I was super happy with that. The guy that gave me all the apples for the apple cider I made, I stopped by his house, and I gave him a couple green tomatoes and whatever rhubarb I had, because I didn't have any real plans for the rhubarb. I made that rhubarb lemonade this year, and there was only like maybe 3/4 of a pound that I harvested. So I gave it to him thinking, you know, hopefully he'll use it and not just throw it away. I was going to give him some of the apple cider, but I said giving a random stranger a homemade liquid in a used water bottle just didn't sit right with me. So, and it was actually quite good, so I didn't want to share. That's kind of true and kind of a lie. It was just, I have a lot of green tomatoes, so to pay him back, it made more sense to me. And I mean, he has an apple tree in his backyard. If he wants apple products, I'm sure he can make them. So, he does not have tomato plants that I've seen anyway. So it worked out. Worked out in my eyes. I don't like taking things from people without at least giving a gesture of wanting to pay back. Just the right thing to do. Stupid. I understand you stupid people that only care about yourselves and, take. It's respect. Alright, I'm gonna take 5 here, and then I think we'll head back and maybe chat a little bit longer. Alright, so I did end up cleaning out the tomatoes in the garden. I cut all the vines. I put pictures of the last video, the longest vine, and like the garden before I cleared it out. The longest vine, if I stretched it out, is probably almost 7 feet. It's kind of impressive, to be honest. And for me, it's impressive. I'm sure there's people out there that grow them insane as like a sport, but mine was, random circumstance, I guess, just happened. They usually grow to be about 4 feet, 5 feet at the max, 5 feet maybe, but most of them were 5 feet to 7 feet, which was very impressive. And if I'd have let them go, probably would have grew more. But I got my fill of tomatoes this year. After giving like 5 people tomatoes, I kept about 30 for myself. So we're set on tomatoes for a little while. I've been eating green tomatoes, fried green tomatoes, toast and butter tomato sandwiches. Just a lot of tomato things so they don't go bad. Like, in retrospect, I mean, the amount of work, the amount of effort, and the money for the plants and stuff, I think I, even given away what I gave away, I think I made like, if it was in terms of money, I probably made like 10 times the amount. So, I'm pretty happy with that. My green peppers, still kind of sad, still kind of upset about that. But I did get about 8 or 9 of them, and there are probably about 8 or 9 more on the bushes, and I'm just gonna let them go till the end of the season, and hopefully get as much as I can out of it, because it was just overall a bad year for peppers. Like I said, I usually get, here comes a train, I usually get about 50 to 100 banana peppers, but I went with bell peppers this year because that's the only plants I could get, and none of my seeds took off, so that was a bit disappointing. But like I said, total work, total amount of effort, and the total money invested, I think I made 10 times the amount. Oh. Alright. Now that's all cleared out. I'm probably going to sift through it a little bit, pick out some of the bigger stones I missed, and then I'm going to cover it over with a tarp so no weeds grow. As I said, I have every intention of leaving in the spring, but just in case, I want to keep it prepped. Here's the thing. If I don't cover it and it gets overrun with weeds, that's going to be so much more work. Covering it's going to take 5-10 minutes. Clearing it of weeds will take, an hour. So, in the long run, it's another one of those things where it's like, is the work worth it? Yeah, probably. I have a tarp lying around. I might as well use it. And funny thing is, I don't know if I told you guys this, but I found the tarp in my yard one year. I'm not sure whose it was, but I've been using it ever since. So it's kind of works out. What else is there? Is there anything else to really talk about? The tournament's tomorrow. That's going to be probably the same as always. I'll either, well, let me put it to you this way. I put probably just as much effort into this team as the first tournament on the server, maybe more. And on Pokemon Showdown, I win most of my battles, and the team's weaker on there because I can't have everything that I will be able to have on the server to boost my team, like Mega Charizard and King's Rock and stuff like that. You can't have that on Showdown, but you can have that on the server. So my team will even be better on the server, but as I said, I lose the RNG a lot. I got one of my key players, one of my favorite guys to use on a lot of my teams is Mincino, and I don't have skill link because that's HA. It's a hidden ability, and hidden abilities are supposed to be rare, so you don't just get them. You're not supposed to just get them handed to you. So I only have Technician, which boosts low-powered moves, which is good, but that means I'm not guaranteed to hit all my moves at their full capacity, which, if I could hit at their full capacity, it would increase the flinch chance from King's Rock. But, you know, it's one of those RNG things where I could hit 2 times in a row instead of 5 times in a row every single time and never land a flinch, and it's technically fair. So you know, it's one of those things, and that's probably one of the things that wound up making me lose. Now, granted, even with skill link, the flinch chance still isn't, you know, amazing, but it's greatly improved, and overall damage is greatly improved. So, things that I'm worried about, I think, besides being straight up cheated, Pokemon that I have a problem with, there's a couple the evolved form of Yanmask. There's a few builds of that are extremely difficult for my team to deal with. Other than that, I mean, Water Spout Jellicent is kind of annoying, especially if it's like Scarfed or something, because then it can move first, and then it does like stupid amounts of damage for being a PreTourny thing. PreTournies are kind of like the lowest of the low in the Pokemon world. Like, the weakest Pokemon are given a grade of PU. I guess stinky. You know, PU, stinky Pokemon. So, they're all supposed to be extremely weak, but like something like Mincino, if they're built right, they can kill legends. So it's not really... When I run into the problem that I think I'm going to run into, of everybody going to Smolgan and going to YouTube and looking up like the strongest 2022 PU tournament teams and just copying them, then you know that's going to be one of the big issues. I think my team, to be fair, has a couple staples. Like Mincino in particular is one that a lot of people use because it's just really good. It's super fast, super strong. You got the flinch chance. If you get skill link, it's just like, it might as well be a legend. No, not really, but it is really good. So I came up with an idea that I'm going to do like a half and half team. It's going to be a 3-man Trick Room team and a 3-man like speed team. So that, you know, if I'm facing off somebody that's going to be using Trick Room or is using slower guys, you know, I got my speed team to take on the slower guys, And if I got Trick Room guys or slow guys, I have my slow team to set up Trick Room. So it's like, and I got really good type coverage. I think one of my mistakes are going to be that I decided to use one of my favorite Pokemon on my team, and it's really good, but it's only really good if you got Trick Room, because it can take a hit, but it can usually only take, one hit, and I don't have anything to buff its speed, so it's one of those things. Well, 2 hits technically, but if it always moves second, you're only going to get 1 attack. But it's also a really powerful player on my team, because I have it split set, where it can either buff its attack really, really high, or it can buff its special attack really, really high, and it has a healing move. So it can be extremely powerful, but it's one of those things that you need the right circumstances, the right setup. I mean, if it goes, it's Lurantis, by the way. H.A. Lurantis, which is contrary, which gives it anything that lowers its stats actually buffs its stats. Excuse me. So, anything that lowers its stats will actually buff its stats, which makes it really good. Especially if you're doing like a split set, because you do like Leaf Storm, which is kind of what most people do. It times 2 your special attack. Lurantis is a physical attacker, so doing 1 Leaf Storm might not get you the kill, but it's going to buff your stat to the point where it's equal to your physical attack, and that will get you the kill. And if you run something like Superpower, Superpower lowers attack and defense, I think. So if I lead with Superpower, it'll buff its attack, which will then buff Superpower to make it stronger, and its physical attack's already strong, and it'll buff its defense. And from what I found with the PU tournament, is there is a lot of physical attackers. So there are special attackers, of course, but there is a lot of physical attackers, and having something to buff your physical defense that also deals like a ridiculous amount of damage makes it like really good. So, but we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to be doing commentary while I'm playing, because my headset doesn't really. It's the reason why on my another Eden gameplay I'm just putting music in the background, because my headset barely reaches, and it would just be annoying if, like, I had to sneeze or make any sudden movements, then I could rip it out of the computer or damage my headset, and that's not something I'm interested in. But overall, with reasonable expectations, I should place in top 3. With the way the server plays, I'll probably be out the first round, but we're gonna find out. I don't expect to win. There's too many competitive players that, smulging their crap to death. So, I'm not expecting to win. But I do think with my team, I should place in the top 3. But, you know how that works. Alright. I keep coughing and junk. I might edit out some of it. But, we're at the end of the trail, pretty much. So I'm gonna go, and we'll see you guys at the tournament.